Really? They carried the Chihuahuas with them.
Every day.
That's really interesting. I mean, the Chihuahuas and the fact that they were couples teaching. That's pretty interesting.
Yes, very paired up, yes.
And what are some of the things that were interesting about your 8th grade teacher?
Some of the things that were interesting about my 8th grade teacher.
And where was she from exactly?
She was from Maine, which is it's the top northeastern state in the United States, famous for their lobster there. And, and some of the things I liked about her, I would say she was just a very laid-back individual. The time in my life in 8th grade, teenage boys can be a little bit
iffy there,
yes. And so she had a lot of patience with me, and
That's good.
yeah, and she was just a very nice person. We got along very well.
Okay. And on the opposite hand, who was your least favorite teacher? I know there's always one.
I would say it was Mr. Sims. He was an art teacher, but he was just a very kind of, I don't know, lazy, apathetic man. Had no inspiration, especially for teaching art. Not a good combination.
Wow, talk about not a good influence on students,
Yeah,
especially in 8th grade.
Sorry, Mr. Sims, if you're watching.
Okay, we just had a great conversation with Jason. We went all the way back to school and we talked about his favorite teacher. I hope you guys learned a lot from our lesson today, and I hope that your English skills are getting better day by day. Well, I'll see you guys next week. Bye!
자, 학교 다닐 때 이분이 더 좋아했었던 선생님 혹은 좀 좋아하지 않았던 선생님 각각 얘기를 해주셨는데요. Let's talk about what he said.
Okay, well, we had a chance to speak with Jason from San Francisco. I kind of feel bad for Mr. Sims. Anyhow, we'll get to that later. First of all, the question was, who was your favorite teacher back in school? 학창 시절 때, 학교 다닐 때 가장 좋아했던 선생님이 누구였나요? 라고 물었을 때, he answered by saying, Mrs. Stevens, right? Yes, Mrs. Stevens라고 했는데요. That is exactly the teacher's name. 보통 우린 선생님 하지만 as you may all know, we don't say Teacher Stevens, Teacher Sims 하지 않고 Mrs., Mr. 혹은 Miss, Ms. 하고 last name을 붙이고 그렇게 부르죠. So his favorite teacher was Mrs. Stevens. She was a science teacher. 과학 선생님이었죠. When he was in the 8th grade. 8학년 때, 즉 중학교 2학년 때 선생님이 참 좋았다. 가장 좋아하는 선생님이었다라고 말을 했고요. Especially because he was interested in science. 과학에 참 관심이 많았고요. In particular, life science. 자, 선생님에 대해서 조금 설명을 해줬는데요. She came from a place where there was a lot of seafood. 해산물이 참 많은 곳에서 오셨다라고 했는데요. Maine이라는 곳에서 왔다고 했죠. Famous for seafood and especially lobster. 랍스터로 굉장히 유명한 곳이기도 한 Maine에서 오신 분이다라고 설명을 해줬습니다.
자, 대학교 때 교수님 얘기를 또 했었죠. 이제 샌프란시스코에서 Art School 예술학교를 다녔었는데요. 그때 husband and wife team이라고 하셨는데 선생님들 혹은 교수님들 두 분이 부부였다라는 얘기죠. They taught screenwriting. 자, 대본이나 극을 쓰는 방법에 대해서 이제 수업을 해주시는 그런 분들이었었는데, Mr. and Mrs. Anderson were their names. 자, 두 분 성함은 그랬었고요. 치와와 개 두 마리를 이제 항상 가방에 좀 들고 다녔었다라는 얘기까지 하고 계셨었죠. 어쨌든 그 두 분의 수업을 상당히 좋아했었다라는 얘기를 하고 있고요. 이제 좋아하지 않았던 선생님에 대해서도 얘기를 했었습니다. 아까 제임퍼 선생님도 잠시 웃으면서 Mr. Sims. 중고등학교 때 arts 아마 그 미술 수업을 가르쳤던 그런 선생님인 것 같은데 he was lazy, he didn't inspire people, no motivation at all, I guess. 사람들 학생들한테 뭔가 동기부여도 못 해주고 약간 좀 게으른 듯한 그런 선생님이었다라고 그래서 별로 안 좋아했다는 얘기를 하고 있네요.
You know, it's interesting how Jason said Mr. Sims had no inspiration, especially when it comes to art. You know, you should be creative and, you should inspire your students.
Especially if you're teaching art, I guess,
well,
right?
that's one of the reasons, or a few of the reasons why he didn't like Mr. Sims. But, Mrs. Stevens에 대해서 왜 좋았는지, 특히나 예를 들어서, she was laid back.
그렇죠. laid back 하면 약간 좀 편안한 좀 그런 분이었다는 얘기죠.
And she, she had a lot of patience with the kids, especially boys like him.
8학년이 우리나라 이제 중학교 2학년 정도 되는데 중학교 2학년 남자 학생들이 이제 워낙 혈기왕성할 나이이기 때문에 선생님들이 이렇게 딱 그 통제하기가 쉽지가 않거든요. 그런데도
맞아요.
상당히 인내심 있게
받아주시고,
참아주시고 잘 이끌어주셨다.
네.
이런 얘기를 했습니다.
아하.
자, 그래서 이제 선생님이 기억이 안 난다는 얘기였었던 것 같고요. 오늘 샌프란시스코에서 온 제이슨이라는 분과 학창시절 때 선생님들에 대해서 얘기를 나눠봤습니다. We have one more corner left, everyone. 오늘의 마지막 표현, daily expression 보시겠습니다. Okay, today's expression is, 자, 여러분 뭔가 가끔 얘기를 하다가요. 깜빡 뭔가 잊었죠. 그럴 때 여러분이 딱 얘기할 수 있는 혹은 사용할 수 있는 표현 중에 하나입니다. 아이고, 제가 깜빡했어요. 영어에서는 뭐라고 하냐면요. 머릿속에서 미끄러졌다라는 표현을 씁니다. 그렇죠. It slipped my mind. 앞에 강조까지 해서 it totally slipped my mind. 우리말로 하면 새까맣게 까먹고 있었다. 우리 만나기로 돼 있었잖아. It totally slipped my mind. 완전히 까먹고 있었다는 얘기죠. 연습해보죠.
It totally slipped my mind. It totally slipped my mind. It totally slipped my mind. One more time. It totally slipped my mind.
Alright, everyone. That is it for today. Thank you for joining us once again. 우리 홈페이지 찾아오시면요. 저희 생활영어 모든 방송 다 무료로 다시 보기 가능하시니까요. 많은 이용 부탁드릴게요.
Yes, thank you for being with us, and we hope you all have a wonderful, a beautiful weekend.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I drop the pencil on the floor. She bends down and shows me more.